hopefully we see some big changes. We see Riven banned right off the bat, and that's definitely a common ban against Dynamic. Both Zion Spartan and Nintendo are both, well known for playing their Riven. Riven does very well against Vladimir, which is one of those champions that Powelter likes playing top. And then against champions like Olaf, Riven is so aggressive in the jungle, and so Riven and Jax are gone. There we go. Two of the big threats that we expect from Dynamic out of the way, so it's not really that big of a concern.
The last game's bans for Curse, Riven, Vlad, Kennen. So it's we'll have to see Vladimir being banned out. Kennen is left open, so we may see that first pickup from Curse just to be a little bit more on the defensive end. If we do get engaged upon, Kennen ult going to be a pretty nice utility tool, and we actually we saw that earlier today with CLG EU, Kennen out in front, Zhonya's ult. Hey, you want to get to the rest of my team, you got to go through me first. Kog'Maw, Urgot, Galio here. Bans for Dynamic. They managed to get the Urgot last time. They go ahead, ban it out, make sure that Curse cannot first pick it, and the Shen pick coming out. Shen was left open here.
Yeah, and so Shen is going to be very safe in that top lane, but also has the potential as a jungler. And so we have seen a lot recently. Shen, I feel like he's in almost all of the games that we've watched as a Shen jungle. And
yeah, I'll do the math later.
Yeah, it's really common. And the thing is, with Shen in the jungle, he's slower than other junglers. He can fall behind to counter jungle very quickly. His ganks are pretty solid. The only issue is because he's usually behind, he's usually busy trying to farm and keep up as much as he can. So what Shen tends to do in the jungle is just sit in there, wait until the other jungler ganks, and then just pop out with the ult. And it can turn around ganks very quickly, very easily. So it's really interesting to see. But Mundo works very well against Shen because, one, Mundo isn't usually looking to gank as much. He's primarily looking to just clear the jungle and control the jungle, and he can control it very well against Shen with that jungling speed, assuming that Shen is being played in the jungle. And we don't know yet. It could be a top lane Shen, which is also extremely common. Is a little bit more common, except for all the Shen jungles we've seen recently. And so it will be a safe lane. Shen can lane against almost anyone, has the regen, has nice little burst damage, and is a pretty safe lane.
I'm actually really quickly looking at all of our matches from the last week or two, and last 2 weeks, there's only been 2 matches where Shen was not picked or banned. So that just speaks to how much of a presence.
And
Shen
most of those,
has.
I'm pretty sure, were in the jungle. We saw a couple of top lane, but he's been seeing a lot of use in the jungle, and so we see that versatility. We have both Shen and Udyr picked. Both of them can go either jungle or top. I'm not really sure what they're thinking right now, but they definitely have their different uses. They're both very kind of strong, abusive top laners. Udyr is a little bit safer against some ranged harass, but Shen definitely a little bit stronger against some more aggressive laning champions like Olaf.
So we do have the Shyvana and Dr. Mundo pick here for Dynamic. Pretty solid in stone. Mundo in the jungle, Shyvana top lane. Still a little bit ambiguous here for who on Curse is going to be top and who's going to be in the jungle. Udyr and Shen, they have that interchangeability. So depending on the rest of the team, Curse will go ahead and decide.
I'm going to guess that it's Shyvana top, and so this is an interesting thing because normally I would say Shen would be top lane for Curse. Shyvana works very well against Shen because Shen, can get some nice bursts, but not really enough. Shen struggles against pushing the lane, and that's something we always talk about is how he struggles there. Shyvana can just push him right up to the tower, just keep on pushing, and then kind of roam around, has that mobility. And so that's an interesting matchup, but against Udyr has a little bit more burst damage. I don't know, we'll have to see. I think it's very open at this point in time for both of them. And so they're kind of playing mind games. We do have the Janna, though, for Curse, and so they definitely have an advantage there for the movement speed. Shyvana, it works very well against Shyvana because of how fast she's going to be. And then, Paradoxical and Morgana, we have seen that a number of times.
We have a bit of a support swap here from both these teams. And the first 3 picks for Curse here, we have Udyr going out in front in these team fights. Udyr can go out in front, Janna's shield, and ult from Shen. That is a lot of damage to be absorbed.
We could see a Graves here. This is actually very similar to the Orianna comps that we've seen, where we have Graves down bottom. So Graves and Janna would be a very aggressive bot lane. Gives you a lot of AoE damage. they're actually maybe going to go with Tristana. I don't know. We'll have to see. But what you do is you have the Udyr to kind of set up the AoE. Shen, can help tank with them, and then you follow it up. But they're actually not going to go with that. They are going to have a very, strong, tanky front line, and then 2 great carries late game. So Tristana has that range. We haven't seen Tristana in a while, but she has a lot of burst. The healing reduction against Soraka works very well.
And Mundo.
Yeah, and Mundo. So, I don't know, we'll have to see how that kind of works out for them. Ahri is a very safe pick as well. You've got the frontline champion. She can pick people off. The only concern is Ahri not really going to have enough damage to take down either Mundo or Shyvana. So a lot of it's going to be focused on Tristana and how well Tristana can do in this game. So if they can shut down Tristana early or not allow her to get into the game or get as much farm as you would like, then very quickly they lose a lot of their damage potential since Dynamic has such a tanky team.
There we go. Got the AD pick here. For Dynamic, it will be Graves. Not going to go with Corki after all. So these are your teams, and it looks like it will be Udyr in the jungle, Shen top lane against the... Oh, wait. Now...
All right, Mundo top lane.
Mundo
top
lane
lane has been played as well, and it's interesting. We've seen a little bit more of Shyvana top lane, but Mundo definitely works as well. And so here's the thing with Mundo. Mundo can farm from range if he needs to. Both Shen and Udyr are very aggressive early, and so if you don't want to deal with that burst, you can get zoned out of lane early. He can farm very easily from range. Also, top lane Mundo, he has just so much damage output early. If you can get someone with a slow or something, or if we have a gank going on, then you're going to have just so much damage potential with your E and with your Q. So it is generally a pretty safe lane. Once he hits 6, he has that regen there. So it's interesting. It's been a long time since I've seen a Mundo jungle.
Okay, there we go. We got the last second swap there. Was scared for a little while.
Yeah, Shyvana's a little bit more common.
Yeah. But then again, also in Champ Select, as the seconds do count down, you do see some last-minute swaps to try and fake out the other team, try and, force them to make a change that they may not be willing to make. We've seen it before, very rarely, but it does happen. But we will be seeing Dynamic throwing Shyvana into top lane and Mundo going on into jungle. Mundo's a pretty fast jungle. Udyr, he's always been a beast. He's always been wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see that lane dynamic top lane. Shyvana, like we said, can push the lane. You're right. Both Mundo and Udyr are very strong and fast in the jungle, so it should be a pretty even matchup there. Udyr has a little bit more ganking potential. Mundo early on is going to be a little bit tankier, and so against those high HP targets, you need physical damage, and I don't know. A lot of it's going to come down to the Tristana pick, which is why Graves is such a strong pick. Now, Graves versus Tristana easily has the range advantage, so you can get some free harass off. But unfortunately, Tristana's E is shorter than Graves' range and his Q as well. So, Tristana can get off some auto attacks, but it's not really going to be enough against the passive from Graves and against the armor from Soraka. So in order to deal damage, Tristana really needs to get up close. She needs to have that rocket jump. She needs to have her E. And once she gets up close, all of a sudden Graves wins that matchup, and he will have the health from Soraka and then all of that armor. It is a pretty aggressive lane, so Graves can try and maybe zone out Soraka early. If he can get off some harass with his Q, he's got the burst damage. I don't know, it's just a safe all-around lane. Yeah,
and the rocket jump, not only is it placing you in a zone of more danger, a danger zone, if you will, trying to get the engagement onto someone like Graves, not only are you putting yourself closer to them, closer to the enemy turret, you're also separating yourself further away from your support. So if Cop is going to be going in, Cop needs to get a preemptive shield on him before he actually goes in for the engage. Elements needs to cover the distance, get the tornado in if necessary. If there needs to be an emergency ult from Elements to clear everyone away, it's going to be slightly delayed. And also consider the summoners on both of these bot lanes. No heals to be found. There is a CV on Elements, Ignite on Cop, Ignite on Zig. We're looking for kills here.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a really aggressive lane. Graves, while they probably can't burst down Graves, if they land on Soraka, then they probably have enough damage. It's going to be tough. I mean, Soraka just has so much heal, but if they get the gank from Udyr, very quickly they can burst people down. I mean, Tristana, at level 6, her damage output is just so high with her ultimate. Mm-hmm. I think people forget a lot of times how much damage she has. The little bit of ability power from the Ignite, hey, it's a little tip of the hat. It works a little bit, and so I don't know. It's always something to be careful of. Generally speaking, though, I think most of these lanes are going to be pretty passive. And I don't know, we'll have to watch how top lane does with that Shyvana.
So, yep, top lane Shyvana against the Shen. Going to see how that works in just a moment. And said before, Mundo Udyr in the jungle, lots of options to be had. Mundo is going to be, Dynamic is going to be on purple side, so there is a nice path for Mundo to travel down if there was to be a nice little sandwich down bot lane, just come right down through, past red buff, behind the Dragon Pit, and go just right through to Tribrush for the engagement if so desired. But in the game, here we are, game number 2. But we did have a penalty going to Dynamic, so it is 1-1. Winner of this moves on to round of 4.
Yeah, and early on, let me try and think. I think that we probably have a little bit of an advantage for Dynamic with the Morgana Snare and also their AoE and Soraka, but we also have a very strong, level 1 team for Curse.
Mm-hmm.
So actually both teams, we see, Dynamic maybe trying to come down into the Tribrush, and so Curse, they're well aware that that's a threat. If they can get some counter jungle really quickly, steal the blue red, that would be huge. So they will be backing off here shortly. And they're actually waiting in this Tribrush because that's a pretty common ganking path down the river. And so Dynamic is actually behind them. So this could result in an early fight.
There is a ward. Dynamic did place it right in front of the Wraiths. So if there is a little bit of funny business later on, or if if Dynamic just wants to know where Udyr is at any given moment, they have the ward there. Wraiths, very easy spot, can also be used as we start to hit the early laning phase. Paradoxical can come on in, do a little bit of harassment, take the blue Wraith if needed or if wanted. Dynamic Zig getting into the bush, but here comes Curse, Pobelter leading the charge. They got vision, they're now in a full retreat, and we got the flash from Pixel going in for the taunt. Oh, we got it. Yes, we do. Real quick kill. Flash taunt, that'll do it.
Flash taunt into the charm from Ahri. They are able to pick up that kill. They have a lot of CC, so they are able to do that very well. And so, who got the kill? Actually, Udyr getting the kill. And now jungle advantage can just snowball you so early. It isn't that much of a concern against... he actually left the big one.
Yep.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So he missed out on some experience there by leaving the big one. I've never seen that before, but even so, he has a little early lead. He's going to be able to take this blue. The question is if he gets back in time to get his own blue. So Mundo probably has enough time to go down and take it. He will be kind of vulnerable, so maybe he doesn't want to if he doesn't want to risk it. We do see the early ward here from Shen, so if Mundo had taken that path, he would have been caught. So coming down a little bit, I don't know, he's kind of questioning his own decisions right now, and a lot of that has to do with how far ahead Udyr is. And he's actually coming up into the top lane to try and get off an early gank.
It may just be in Nintendo's best interest to stick around and farm, since there's already an early lead on St. Vicious with all that kill experience. But the Cleaver trying to get in on Pobelter here. Zion Spartan going further on in for the engage, getting a little bit more chunked out damage. But now Nintendo will just go ahead and wander over around to mid. But St. Vicious will now have double buff, stealing the enemy blue and taking his own red. Looks like Nintendo is now also wandering down into enemy territory, but Zion Spartan is coming down as well, possibly for the assist.
Yeah, we did have the ward here, so Dynamic, they know exactly where Udyr is right now. They know he's got plenty of mana, he's a little bit low on health, but that's not really... It's kind of difficult to gank Udyr early on, so they need a little bit of help. We do see Paradoxical coming in, though, so if Nintendo gets him, here he is, he sees him, there's the exhaust coming off, actually, and we have the flash out from Udyr, so he will be able to get out of there. But this is going to be a nice blue, and so even though Udyr has the early advantage, this is going to help catch him up a little bit. Paradoxical maybe going to get the early blue. They might just leave it on Nintendo so he can get that early jungle lead back. Yes, so Nintendo's going to take it. He knows he's behind. That'll help speed up his jungle a little bit, allow him to catch back up in this game.
It'll help him speed up just a tad. I would have liked to see it go on Paradoxical because there's still a little bit of a lead that Nintendo does have to make up, and I'd like to see Paradoxical, if he had it, just let's mitigate some of this. Let's take the lead that we want that should be made onto Nintendo. Just give it to Morgana, give it to the mid, a little bit of an advantage towards Ahri because there is a little bit of an XP gap from all the time while we were not in lane.
Yeah, and right now we see Nijaki being kind of aggressive mid. It is a pretty safe matchup. Neither of them really have, the easy damage to do against each other. Ahri kind of works as a counter to Morgana because of her mobility. We do see the snare, though. And so Ahri, taking the early advantage. Once Ahri hits 6, Morgana, if she tries to get the ultimate off very easily, Ahri can get out of there, jump back in, get some nice damage onto Morgana. But generally speaking, just the fact that, Ahri can free farm against Morgana and then be very aggressive in that mid game is nice.
Now we see Nintendo once again wandering towards the top lane, but St. Vicious is not too far behind. Double buff on DU Deer. Cleaver going down, slowing St. Vicious down just a tad. No real attempts on ganks top lane. Both junglers will go back to their own business. Nintendo, he needs to start farming up. St. Vicious still has a level advantage.
Yeah, so we see bot lane pretty even so far. Some damage from Curse onto Zig there, but with the Soraka, it's not really going to be that big of a deal. We do see Pobelter taking a nice little early advantage over Shyvana here, and that has to just do with the fact that Shyvana doesn't have that heal, and Shen is going to be very aggressive early on, so it's pretty natural for Zion Spartan to fall behind. As the lane progresses, he should generally be pretty safe with how fast he can push. I'm wondering whether or not he'll go with a Wriggles in that top lane to have that regen against Shen, so that he can be a little bit more aggressive in lane, or farm more easily. But right now he's fine.
Yeah, I can see that. Also later on, mentioned it before, Dynamic does love to go for early objectives like the Baron, like the Dragon. It's only going to help them out more. And of course, extra armor, extra damage, life steal. That's always a good thing to have. And also got the wards, but St. Vicious now trying to focus down Pixel. Flash over the wall, forcing that away. Pixel will be fine for the time being, but Flash is down, courtesy of the Bear.
Yeah, and so he's not able to get in there and force any kills, but that definitely works out nicely. And a lot of that has to do with, you consider, we said early on that Tristana can be very aggressive against Soraka. Now without that flash to get out of there, Soraka is definitely going to want to play in the back line, but she can, generally speaking. Tristana isn't going to want to walk right past Graves because Graves should have an advantage in those 1v1 duels. And so, even with that flash down, Soraka is going to be pretty safe.
So Zion Spartan, top lane, doesn't have many options but to back. We're going to go buy for ourselves, getting a Doran Shield and a Vamp Scepter. I think a Wriggles would be a pretty safe bet here for top lane, but there's also extra armor, extra health regen, extra health. Top lane going to be going back up to face off Shen with a little bit of extra stuff. Mundo covering in the meantime. He's got to get that farm up. Got to catch up to Udyr. There's still a little bit of a gap that needs to be closed. There we go. Level 5. Both the junglers almost about to hit 6. So we should be seeing that shortly. And even a few more increased ganks. Once Nintendo gets that extra movement speed and health regen, can be a little bit more aggressive. Can even go fed for those tower dives. St. Vicious will only just be more mobile and dealing out quite a bit more damage, but there are pings going down. St. Vicious does have an Oracle's clearing out the dynamic ward in front of Dragon. May see an attempt on that soon.
Ugh. And right off the bat, we see Shen going with that fast, what is it called? Recurve bow, so he can go for the fast Wit's End, or even with the
Ionic Spark.
Ionic Spark. Oh, gosh, I am just so out of it right now. But so the nice thing there is we've already talked about how Shyvana has the advantage, actually just chasing down Shen, getting some nice damage out of there. But Shyvana is going to want to push very aggressively into Shen, and so that gives him a little more clear capability. We have the ultimate, though. Zion Spartan
trying to get as much damage as we can onto Pobelter. The Ignite will finish the job. Pobelter just stuck around a little bit too long, so I think now the Ionic Spark might be a little bit of a better purchase, just to try and pressure down the lane as much as possible. Now the objective is to try and deny Zion Spartan a little bit more farm, give him less kills, and try and get more experience for ourselves in the meantime. And a little bit of extra health is never bad.
Yeah, but it's usually you'll see Shen go with like the harder goal, but having that pushing is going to be huge. That's definitely a nice pickup. I'm curious to how we're going to see Nijaki building, because we see him start off with the Cage's pick. It would be pretty cool to see a Deathfire's Grasp Ahri. I mean, that's one of the things that Ahri kind of lacks. She has a lot of burst when she hits you with everything, but if she misses one of her abilities or her abilities are on cooldown, very quickly she loses a lot of damage. So to have even more killing potential, looking for those kills is going to be huge.
Well, she can definitely get into position to use it. She's going to be ulting towards her prey no matter what. You're going to be close enough. Hey, I have this extra item. It'll deal a little bit more damage to you. You might as well, and it would be a nice, interesting build. Morgana, on the other hand, stacking Doran's rings for the time being. Still not quite sure what we're going to go. We may have a Catalyst. We may have a needlessly large rod coming in. How much gold does Morgana have right now, actually? 1,200, so it looks like we're saving up for the needlessly large rod. If we see Morgana back soon, Catalyst is 1325, I believe. Yeah, hey, got that one. It's like Price is Right up in here. And then, but if we see Morgana stick around in lane for more than the next like 30 seconds to a minute, then we know saving up for needlessly large rod, going to try and stick around as much as we can. Nijaki in the bot bush, looking for something, hunting for a gank. Ult is up. But still, we see Zion Spartan and Pobelter doing it off top lane. Intended has discovered the Fox. Is now is there going to be a hunt for the blue buff to try and take it for Dynamic? Possibly not. But St. Vicious is still here. Still has that Oracles. Still clearing wards.
Yeah, and so they kind of want to roam around, get some early kills. If they can get Tristana going off pretty well, then that's going to be huge. She is pretty even down bottom. Both junglers don't really have a lot of ganking potentials. Most of the lanes are pretty safe. Top lane is probably the lane that we would see the most action. So, we see really good warding. It just kind of prevents that. And so, with the warding, it's just so difficult for them to engage. Nijaki does have that blue, so, can farm mid pretty easily. Wants to get those ganks off. Doesn't really have those opportunities available. We'll see whether or not we have any aggressive counter jungling coming up. We have a little bit until some of the buffs come up again. 2 minutes until the blue, and then we'll have to see.
Zion Spartan did also buy a null magic mantle, so there are more build options available. Could also possibly see a Wit's End on Shyvana as well for a little bit extra magic resist to try and stop some of the magic damage from Ahri later on. And just attacking faster, that's always a good thing. Extra damage on your attacks, always a good thing. Paradoxical Nijaki still farming in the mid. Now Nintendo wandering on down. Do we have any wards on us? Yeah, Nintendo does have some wards and an Oracles of his own now. So now the game between the junglers is let's hunt for wards, let's reduce vision as much as we can because there are objectives to be had that have not been pressured yet. And also clearing the wards, it's extra income. That's always a good thing. 25 gold every time you take down a ward. You take down enough of them. If you take down plenty of them, you will eventually be able to recoup the cost. But also think of it this way: 25 gold for yourself, and you're wasting 75 or 125 gold on the enemy team. So you have to add that up. If you kill 2 wards with an Oracles, you're essentially breaking even.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see this top lane with Shyvana versus Shen, and Shyvana kind of bullying around Pobelter a little bit, has a little bit of a CS advantage. Both of them are pretty safe in lane, but yeah. Shyvana, can pop his shield, does have a little bit of burst damage, and then, again, the pushing capabilities is just so strong against him. But the fact that Shyvana's able to harass him out of lane with that auto-attack refresh, she's being very aggressive whenever he tries to come up to farm, and so he's really struggling up there.
I'm just thinking about math off. All right, so anywhere from 2, 3, 4 wards clear with an Oracles, you're pretty much getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
But it's also just being able to stay alive to keep the Oracles down. We see Morgana. Oh, the spell shield is broken. Able to get the charm off, but can only do so much damage. But Nintendude is nearby, popping the ult, regenerating that health, and once again clearing more wards. So definitely getting the money's worth for Mundo. But Zion Spartan also continuing to push in onto Shen. 81-94. The creep lead is starting to shine here for Zion Spartan. And also going back to our own jungle, taking the small golems when our lane is pushed, want to keep our income, want to keep our experience gain constant. So we're going back, ensuring that Nintendo has no problem giving the small golems away. We still got the rest of the jungle. It's no big deal.
And so we see up here, we have Shyvana and Mundo kind of facing off. Nintendo is shown, so Pobelter going to just go back, be very safe there. Not really a whole lot for him to do. Because of the Oracles, we are starting to see some of those wards cleared, like you said. I'm not sure what the count is right now, but it's been a couple. And I don't know, I'm kind of curious when we'll start to see a little bit more aggression, maybe see them going for Dragon. I think that Curse probably has a little bit stronger Dragon team. We have the Shen ult to bring them down, so they'll have that 5v4 advantage. And then Udyr can take Dragon fairly easily. Mundo can as well. He has the damage. He just gets a little bit low doing it, whereas Udyr has that shield. The only concern is I think they primarily want Tristana to farm, and so Tristana in the early fights, if she can kind of snowball the fights, does work very well, but doesn't want to be too aggressive. Now we're starting to see Pobelter be very aggressive, actually throwing off the Ignite. Zion Spartan going to flash out of there. We have Pobelter coming after him, can't pick up that kill, does use his flash, but now able to force him out of lane. So now if we do have a dragon fight, that 5v4 doesn't really matter for Pobelter because he can come in and not have to worry about losing his lane, not have to worry about Shyvana pushing up top.
Pobelter can just use this opportunity to try and make a difference in the lane. Pushing to tower, all the creeps will naturally get killed by the tower. Zion Spartan will not be able to take too much of that, at which point the lane will return back to normal right in the middle of the lane, so not too much of an advantage to be gained if Pobelter can go ahead and push that lane. But still, we still have a lot of presence from both of our junglers around the dragon area. There's still not a whole lot of engagement going on around there, and Elements continuing to put ward pressure around the area. The next kill in either mid or bot could mean either team going for that dragon. But right now, everyone's just content on farming. It's just the gold is just so ridiculously even. 15 minutes in, there's just not a whole lot of action. But Nijaki is here in bot lane. Once the lane gets pushed here bot, we can see Ari transition in, and we got the bind coming in from Paradoxical onto Udyr. A little bit of harass, keeping him at bay. Nijaki now sweeping on in, sneaking into that bush. Dynamic gets a little bit aggressive here. It could be a very rude awakening. Soraka, and we got the smoke screen comes in, finds Nijaki out, forces the ult, forces the engagement, but still Dynamic is on the losing end of that, and the Shen ult coming down onto Cop just for a little bit extra insurance, but we got to support down. Dynamic, they can't do that much anymore. We got another 17, 16 seconds till Soraka's back. Not going to be around the Dragon area. This is Curse's opportunity. Let's take Dragon, get a little bit more of a gold lead, and start taking control of this game.
Yeah, and Soraka is just so vulnerable in that bottom lane. Any early ganks can work out. We do see the Dragon coming off, the snare missing. There's the shield, so she is going to be safe. Cop trying to get in there, but we have the flash out for Paradoxical, so they are able to get out of there. Actually throwing off the shield.
A little bit premature.
Wow, but we have the flash follow-up from St. Vicious. Can we get the kill? There it is on Paradoxical, and now all of a sudden Curse is ready to go. They've brought back the energy.
There we go.
I'm getting excited. I'm woken up a little bit because Curse, they have been sitting back. They're perfectly fine with just having a nice slow game. I don't know, not a whole lot of action, but they're good to go. And now they're ready. They're in their prime form, and we'll probably see a huge ramp up from them.
But we've seen this from Curse before, going for the snowball comp, just very content with farming and realizing, hey, in these team fights, if we catch you off guard, we have the upper hand. And even then, we got the catch onto Soraka, and unfortunately, a little bit of a misplay from Paradoxical. I think that ult was accidental. I want to say it's accidental because there was really nothing to be gained from trying to focus down Pobelter in that situation.
She wasn't really trying to focus down Pobelter. The issue was, I always love that. Sometimes you can't hit it with Shyvana, but if you hit it just with the right timing, the auto attack refresh on your Q allows you to kill a ward by yourself, which most other champions can't do. So the thing with the Pobelter, he was about to get his taunt back up again, and Morgana, if the taunt was hit by Shen, then he would have gone down. And because you don't have an instant stun, he knew he needed to get it off quickly. We do see Pobelter kind of forcing Zion Spartan over here, though. There's the ult from Nijaki, and Zion Spartan with good control had the vision, and so Nijaki coming after him, but unfortunately he can't get in. And there's the exhaust, so they turn right back onto him, able to pick up that kill. We have Pobelter jumping in on him, but with the heal, Zion Spartan is going to be safe. And now, actually, he does go down, but Pobelter goes down as well. So 2 kills for Dynamic, baiting it out. And you saw the great control at the beginning of that with Zion Spartan. He had the ward coverage here, so he's just running back and forth until he forced Ari to use an ult so that Ari would have one less of those essence charms in order to kind of get around.
Yeah. And that's exactly the experience and gold Nintendo needed to try and catch up to St. Vicious. Udyr has had a bit of a lead on Nintendo this entire time because of that early first blood, but now things have sort of equalized. Can we take a look at the gold real quick? Want to see how the wallets are stacking up for both our junglers. 56, Wendo 47. I mean, it's still gold-wise, still massively in St. Vicious's favor, but the experience is now starting to even out just a little bit, just a tad. But there still needs to be a little bit more presence from Nintendo on these ganks, on these kills. He's got a wonderful kit. He's got a fantastic AoE, a fantastic slow on the cleaver, and the ult. So much health, so much regen in these team fights. We need to start seeing Nintendo a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting. I just realized I think he might be going for a Sunfire, and it's been so long since I've seen it. We did have the buff recently to Sunfire, but still probably not the strongest of items. But here's the nice thing that it does. Wow, Nijaki with the Deathfire's Grasp actually has to get out of that ultimate. So Paradoxical with the nice ult. If he knows if Nijaki stays, he's going to get stunned. He will go down. So Nijaki has to back out of there.
Yep.
But
good call on the zone use as well.
The interesting thing is, armor and health is just such a strong combination. Now, I've said it a number of times, health counters out. Oh, wow, actually, we're going to see St. Vicious chasing down Zion Spartan here. We have the taunt from Pobelter. They will have to back off. So actually turning it around on them, Zion Spartan and Nintendo, they have plenty of damage. Can they take down St. Vicious? We have the red buff on Nintendo. We will be able to turn, actually, the Flash and Zion Spartan with the Dragon form getting onto St. Vicious. There's the stun. He tries to shield out of there, but he is going to go down.
Yep. Q from Mundo, keeping him in place, able to connect with the kill. Pobelter's still around, but now Nijaki is back in town. DFG cooldown is not quite done yet, but
he's also out of mana.
Also out of mana. Not going to be a whole lot able to be done here, but the cleaver from Nintendo picking up, and the auto attack from Ari not able to finish on Nintendo.
Zion can still chase, though, because there's no mana on Nijaki, so he gets the slow with the red buff, and even though Nijaki was so high and Zion Spartan so low, it doesn't even matter.
We were waiting. Nijaki was just waiting for something. Just give me some mana. The DFG cooldown was back up. Something could have been done, but alas, you can only do so much in situations like these. Do want to mention though, I like. Oh, actually, we got the Giant's Belt just for a little extra help.
We're
going to Warden's Mail, so we're going to Randuin's here, and I'm thinking right now, Nintendo sees Ari, sees the item build like DFG. That thing scales. It takes a certain percentage. It's percentage health damage. It's only so much can be done to try and mitigate that.
Yeah, even as percentage health damage, you don't usually look to counter it. But we see Paradoxical coming down here, doesn't get the stun off on the cop, but there's the snare
Elements
on the
is
Elements,
good too.
So he does go down. Yeah, DFG. I mean, even though it does percentage of health, it's not really a counter to tanks. It does a nice chunk of their damage, but you don't look at DFG and think, oh, I'm going to kill a full health Mundo as Ari now, because it's just not going to happen. Health is just too strong against magic damage. So having the HP, and then it counters out Ari completely, and then having the armor will counter out Tristana. With the attack speed slow, they won't be able to do it, but we see Nintendo with the movement speed going to chase them off here. They're trying to see if they can sneak that Baron. And with Udyr and Shen with the 2 shields, and with the Udyr Q, they can do it very easily. Stay at high health. It would be a slow Baron, which is the concern. It gives a lot of opportunities for Dynamic to engage. So in the meantime, Dynamic able to take another out of turret, and they are ahead as far as turrets are concerned.
But I feel that the purchase of the Warren's Mail soon going into the Randuin's, we're recognizing 2 things. We're recognizing that one, Cop definitely has the potential to be the force to be reckoned with on Curse as we're starting to hit into mid game, as we're starting to head in the late game. And second, once Dynamic starts going into his team fights, you throw down the active, want to ensure that Curse will not be able to get away. They have a lot of very mobile champions: Udyr, Bear Stance, Ari, Ult, Shen, Taunt, Tristana, Rocket Jump. Lots of options for Curse to escape. Want to try and minimize that as much as possible, but Curse grabbing the opportunity, Dragon is available, going to try and get it as quickly as possible, should be able to secure it, and Dynamic will find out just a tad too late. There they are, but Paradoxical, the spell shield, keeping the tornado from popping her up, could have gotten engaged, but just not quite in range.
Yeah, and having the Randuin's is just so strong. I think a lot of people don't realize how strong the passive is from Warden's Mail. And so having that attack speed slow on hit, it just really quickly can just shut down a lot of 80 carry damage. But there's no wards over here. Udyr has that second guess. He's coming up. St. Vicious does see them up here. We'll see if we get the snare from Paradoxical. He's trying to kind of bait it out, but we have plenty of damage. They will kill it fairly quickly. Pobelter and Udyr coming in, taking a lot of damage here. Nijaki trying to burst down Morgana, but we have the shield, and Dynamic grabs the Baron. They're turning back onto him. Curse going down very quickly. We have the ultimate from Morgana, or from Janna, but they have to get out of here. Cop not able to do the damage he wants. Dynamic can just chase them down. Can Zion Spartan get this kill? There's the ultimate to knock him back from Tristana.
Buster shot saving Tristana's butt right there. Dynamic not going to be able to get as much as they wanted from that one, but still got the kill on St. Vicious, still got Baron, and this is what Dynamic likes to do. They like to go for those Barons because that buff will just put them in so much of a lead. They're going to use the buff to full advantage, pressure down towers, take down these objectives. We still have a tier 1 open free and available in bot lane for the taking as well. So now we're going to see all these objectives being focused down on Dynamic, starting with this tier 2 in mid.
And so it's just so difficult for Curse to engage on them now.
Yep.
I mean, all of our damage is based on Tristana and Ahri, and Ahri, clearly we've already said they have such a tanky team. It's very difficult for Ahri to burst anyone down. The real targets for Ahri are Morgana and Graze, and one of the benefits that Ahri has is she has the mobility to get into that back line. But Morgana, unfortunately, has the Black Shield and has the Zhonya's, and so we saw Ahri come in. She can't burst down Morgana. Okay, so let's turn our attention to Graves. Well, Graves is going to sit far back. He's got Soraka to deal with. It's only going to be Ahri, and they can't get the rest of the team back there. So unfortunately, Ahri can't kill him by herself. So there's just really not a lot of targets for Nijaki right now.
Yep.
And then with how tanky they are, they can just Zerg onto Tristana, very quickly force Tristana out of there. It's just so difficult for Curse to win these fights because they just don't have enough damage output. They have a fairly tanky team themselves, but the Bruisers are a little bit stronger on Dynamic's side. And
just the item combinations on Dynamic are amazing as well. Start out the fight, hit someone with the Mundo's Cleaver. Zion Spartan can come follow up. We got the Frozen Mallet. The slow will do wonders. If there's a little bit extra slow that needs to happen, Nintendo is right there with the Randuins. Pop the active. No one's really going anywhere. A lot of great synergy here coming from Dynamic. And you know what? A little tip too, because I see a lot of new players out there buying Thornmail. Try Randuin's Omen instead. I'm sure you will love it. And as we speak that, Zion Spartan just plugging away at Poe Belter was not going to be able to get away from this one. Flashes mutually being exchanged, and you know what? Zion Spartan will still be able to clean that one up. 2 members of Curse, St. Vicious and Cop, now in pursuit, trying their best to focus down Zion Spartan to get revenge for their ninja.
Walking into a bait.
Oh, Paradoxical is not too far behind, but there is a ward in that tri-bush. Oh, St. Vicious just still locked in. He is committed to this fight, wants to try and make the best of this. Pixel is nearby, though, to provide all the heals we need to. Elements does force the ult, pushes them away, but Paradoxical.
From Nijaki.
We got the Zhonya's popped. Is there something we can do about this? Not quite a whole lot. Spell Shield not going to be able to shield ourselves from all that damage, but St. Vicious does still go down in the meantime. Nijaki, though, you're getting pretty low on mana. You can only do so much.
All the while, they are losing their bot, and they are losing it hard. Zion Spartan trying to get that last red buff, just still stalling them, and that's all he's doing right now is stalling. We see the exhaust from Cop.
Pixel
they
heal.
Can't pick up these kills. Nijaki doesn't have enough mana, so they are actually probably going to be able to get out of there. We have the Whirlwind. In the meantime, we get the inhibitor, so Soraka does go down, but all the while, Dynamic was pushing down that bottom lane, and there was just nothing that Poe Belter could do about it. They had no one to defend.
But this worries me,
great control by Dynamic.
This worries me, though, because, again, this is what Dynamic does quite often once we start going to the mid and late game. That was an absolute sacrifice play to get the tower, to get the inhibitor, but to all things considered, we've seen Dynamic do a lot of sacrifice plays just for, like, 1 tower or 1 inhib. Because they had Baron buff, because they had advantage. Here's the thing, though. They took down the entire bot row. Remember, last time we checked on bot lane, Tier 1 was still up. 1, 2, 3 towers and inhib. That, I would say, is worth it.
I mean, even if it's just an inhibitor, it's worth it. So, yeah, you're absolutely right, though. Getting such a huge gold advantage is massive for Dynamic. They can, just pull ahead in this game, and that is something that they always kind of, are frustrated with, the lack of that kind of finishing potential. Either they win the fights and push in, or they just struggle with pushing. So having that split push worked out so well. They know they have the early advantage. They know they can kite fairly well with the Soraka and with the Shyvana. So they're like, okay, well, you guys go top. Just stall them for a while. They'll fight you. They'll be like, yay, we're winning. And then all of a sudden they'll realize, oh, that kind of sucked. So, right now we have that inhibitor down. with the huge gold advantage that Dynamic has. It's actually not that much. It's 5k gold. But the big thing is their team fight control is just so much stronger. I mean, at this point in the game, Mundo and Shyvana are just miles ahead of Udyr and Shen. And then you consider Graves versus Tristana, and Graves has significantly more damage. And then there's the fact that, he's got the AoE burst. So it's not as much single target. When we have these tanks, it's too tough for Curse to take him down. So Dynamic going to be able to pick up this dragon, and then they can transition to top lane.
That was a really quick dragon, actually. Also, noticing now on Nintendo, bought himself a quick silver sash, a little bit extra magic defense to defend from the burst on Ahri, and in the event we get charmed, or taunted, or stunned, we're able to get it out, clear it, and also clear the healing reduction abilities from Tristana as well. When we get into our ultimate, go ahead, clear that effect away, and still maximize on our ult.
It's still surprising, though. I mean, you're right. Those are a number of great effects. And if I look at that, I'm like, hey, yay, we get the Quicksilver Sash. But Mundo, he already has CC reduction with his W. And he's already tanky enough that does he really need to get rid of the Ignite? I mean, it does. You're right. The Ignite and the healing reduction from Tristana would hurt him, a lot. I guess the thing is he wanted some MR. He didn't want to have to build a Force of Nature. Force of Nature was just a little bit too expensive. So Quicksilver Sash was the cheap alternative.
But it's a nice little added bonus versus a team that has 3 Ignites and all the healing reduction possibilities available to them. So it's a good call. It's a cheap call. It's an affordable call. It's the Walmart option of magic resist, as you will. But you know what? It's still an amazing, viable pick as well. Nijaki trying to face off here against Zion Spartan. Pobelter has no choice but to ult in to protect. Shyvana in Dragon Form will just waddle away. And look, Baron coming back up once again very soon. Inhibitor. Bot Inhibitor still down for Curse. CV goes down. And Dynamic is spotted out.
They know that both Ahri and Shen's ults are down, and they know. So Dynamic is like, hey, we're stronger than you in fights. Okay, check 1. 2 of your ults are down. Check 2. Let's try and force this. We have the oracles. We can force you up to Baron. Your bot inhibitor is pushing, so we can actually just be really slow with this. And then, someone's going to have to deal with it. It's going to just take those Nexus turrets by itself, so they can just sit here all day. They don't have to worry about anything. Once someone goes bot, they have a free Baron. Otherwise, they can force a fight.
The moment Dynamic sees someone from Curse back trying to defend that tower, that is their cue to just go right in. Just try and take down Baron as much as you can. One Nexus turret is pretty much down already. Dynamic, the smokescreen, perfectly taking over the entire width of that entryway over by the blue, trying to get some damage. Nijaki, Shirelias, they are now in full retreat. Dynamic, they will see them in a moment. There we go. Tristana trying to clear the wave. That is their cue. Dynamic going in aggressively for this Baron, taking it down as quickly as possible. And it will go down rather quick. The damage is there. Curse has no option but to defend free Baron for Dynamic.
And that's just the situation that Curse is in right now. I mean, really, Curse's only option is almost to just engage a fight and hope that they can get a quick fight. Unfortunately, they know that they're a lot weaker right now than Dynamic, and they know if we just fight them head-on, we're going to lose. So they're like, all right, well, I guess we have to go back and defend. They do have the inhibitor coming up, though. So even though we see the Baron for Dynamic, if we can see a stall from Curse, then they have that going for them. The only concern is it's kind of difficult for them to clear the creep waves. Now, Ahri generally is a pretty good creep clearer, but there's no one else to help her. And so when you consider that it's just Ahri, the rest of them, they kind of need to get up close range, or Tristana takes a while with her auto attacks. It's going to make it difficult, and that's just going to allow Dynamic to push right up, poke down the turrets. I don't know, we'll have to see. Ahri is pretty good at clearing creep waves. It's just, I don't know if it's enough with just herself.
And Tristana, she does do a fair amount of damage too, plus the passive vulnerabilities allows all that extra splash damage as well. But right now, Dynamic has definitely better options. Shyvana is very well at Zig, so much damage, and Nintendo almost being caught out there just through the wall. But also consider Dynamic, they do have the great advantage with the Baron buff. Bot inhibitor is naked right now. Dynamic might just go in for this, and hopefully we will not be seeing any more sacrifice plays like top, because that may not be worth it. Don't want to be losing that Baron buff. Nintendo out in front. Quicksilver Sash still open. We got the Janna ult clearing all of Dynamic away, and the Graves ult, Nijaki getting very low. The inhibitor is now open. No one from Curse here to defend it. They've all been pushed back to their fountain. We got the binding onto Cobb. putting him very low, but Dynamic more than content. Let's take down this last Nexus turret real quick. Should be going down. Yeah, it is. Nexus is open. Nexus is available. Dynamic are just going to go ahead and focus it down. Yes, it is. And there we go. The rematch is complete. Despite the penalty, Dynamic takes it 2-1.